Hi, my name is Maine, and today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the new starter decks. These came out just today, so I'm going to open them, talk about some of the key cards and why you should or should not check out these new starter decks. So these starter decks technically came out already in the form of the premium deck set that was released a couple of weeks ago. I made a video talking about this product and whether or not I felt like it was worth its price point. So these starter decks are technically out already. I just opted to wait and pick up the physical starter decks instead of the premium deck collection. But today I'm going to unbox these for you, show you some of the included cards as whether or not you should pick these up if you're not building these decks. Alright, let's get into it. So here I have the two starter decks ready to be unboxed, and I have a couple of sleeves on standby. I like to keep my cards in good condition right out of the box, just because. So we're gonna start with the Jesmon starter deck, because I feel like this is probably the one most people will want to see some of the stuff in. I know some people like to be delicate with their boxes, but I kind of just prefer the monkey approach and rip that thing off. So these starter decks actually have much different packaging than starter decks in the past. For one thing, these boxes are a lot smaller, and instead of that clear plastic shell, we just have cardboard shells. So we open it up, and here we have our starter deck. And then we have our promos, which I'm gonna set the promos to the side, and we're gonna start with the starter deck. I'm not gonna go through every single card in the deck in detail, just more of a brief overview. So first we have the 4 Digimons. I don't think these are the best babies to run in Jesmon. These are okay, especially for its DP effect, but I feel like Demi-Meramon would probably be better, but probably the most popular egg to run in Jesmon is going to be BT8 Gurimon, just for that free draw, but if you're just getting started in the game, this is a decent red baby, just not the best. Got some vanilla Candlemons. Probably the biggest reason to pick up this deck, we have 4 Solarmons. Solarmon is very important for next format, just to stop all of the Digicross related stuff. So I feel like even if you're not going to play Jesmon, you should still try to pick up this deck for this, or just buy the singles on TCG Player. But yes, very good that we're getting these in the starter deck. And then we have the new Huckmon. This is probably the worst Huckmon, to be honest with you. A lot of Jesmon competitive decks will go ahead and just run Solarmon over this guy, but if you're just getting started out, this isn't like a bad card to have at the ready. Vanilla Bauhackmon. It's an okay level 4. It's searchable and it's got a DP buff effect. This is probably better than the Bauhackmon we got in VT6, but ultimately it's inconsequential. We got a vanilla. And then we got the Savior Huckmon. This Savior Huckmon is insane for the Jesmon deck. When Digivolving, your Digimon can attack your unsuspended Digimon. But that's not really what makes this card great. What really makes it is it's heritable. It has the same play Sistermon effect as the Jesmon line does. So you can turn one Jesmon attack into 2 Jesmon. So you can turn one Sistermon into 2, which makes this card a really good, and it's not the best replacement for the old Savior Hackmon, but it's still good. Volcanomon, it's okay. It's a blocker. While Jesmon does not really like it, this is actually starting to see a lot of play in Machinedramon because it's a sideboard and it can give your Machinedramons security attack +1, but overall, very good card. All right, getting into the meat and potatoes, we have the, they're stuck together. The 2 Jesmon. I remember when these were first revealed and I was so excited because this is basically just BT6 Jesmon, except it has Blitz and it gains security attack +1 instead of piercing. Some Jesmon GX lists in Japan are starting to actually use this guy out, but I really think he's at least good of as a 2 of, just to keep your deck very consistent and fast. And alright, the next card is the Gankumon. Gankumon is not the best card for Jesmon GX, but I still think he has a place in this Jesmon deck. When Digivolving, you can play a Huckmon, or a card with Sistermon in its name from your trash without paying its memory cost, and then once per turn, when you play another Digimon by an effect, you Digivolve 1 up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon. So Digivolve is starting to prove to be a lot stronger than we gave it credit for. In fact, around early BT10 in Japan, there were actually some variants of Jesmon that were not running Jesmon and were instead just running the Ganku line. So I like him. I don't necessarily think I will run him in my Jesmon GX deck, but I feel like he's worth playing if you're just getting started out. Alright, and the big card to talk about is Sistermon Blanc. So she has a pretty good ability on her own. Trash 1 card on play, trash 1 card in hand, draw 2, consistency, and then all of your royal. And then, so she does not give all of your Sistermons an effect, she just gives herself decoy while you have a Sistermon in play. But she actually sees quite a bit more play in purple decks, just because she's basically an on-play BT2 Gabumon. So she's really good in a lot of decks that like to have consistency. Some other decks like Grandis ran her for a bit. The new Ragnalordmon deck, also known as Galactimon, is running her. She's a very good card for utility, and I think she could see a bit more play over here in America. And next up we have the 4 Sistermon CLs. Not Blanc, not Noir. We don't do nun guns here. She's just a searcher, and she gives your Royal Knights reboot, which is not... It's good here, but it's definitely much better with GX to give your GX blocker. I mean, to give your GX reboot who already has blocker. It's nice art, though. I do like this art. Alright, now getting into the options. We have 4 Alice generics. It's basically a free option, because if you have Huckon in play, then you gain a memory. It gives it piercing and a security boost. It gives it piercing and a DP boost. I don't feel like this is a 4-of, and I don't like it too much in this deck, but I don't think again, it's not a bad card. The big card from Master to Disciple. This is basically the tamer of the deck. It's on, so for 2 cost drop, it's a searcher, and then delay, you can reduce the Digivolution cost of any Digimon by 1. But this is obviously this is much more of a Jesmon card. It really stinks that this is not a 4-of. I think they definitely could have cut 2 Alice genetics for this, but it's fine. You gotta buy the 2 starter decks to get the good card. So yeah. And lastly is Quake Blast Fire Father. It's a 7-cost hard removal option. And then of course, just like every other starter deck, it comes with these 2 metallic memory trackers. Alright, so that's the starter deck out of the way. Let's get into the more interesting cards. In my opinion, we have the 6-pack Tamer promos. So I don't know if the camera can pick them up that well, but you can see that they are a bit textured, and these really are box topper variants of older promos. So first we have starter deck 1 Ty, we have BT3 Davis, starter deck 3 TK, BT3 Ken, BT4 Izzy, and starter deck 6 Matt. So when these were first announced, namely, they first announced that these starter decks were going to have 6 Tamer promos in them that, quote, saw competitive play. And in the end, that turned out to be a lie. In fact, really only about 2 of these see play, if any. Some Bloom Lord decks have been running... some green decks have been running Ken over Mimi, but honestly, Mimi is just better. That's why it's almost $10 now. Although it is really nice that Davis finally got a box topper variant, because in BT3 it was like the security level 4s that are not very good. Ty, some people like to run Ty as an ADP target, a delicate plan target against the security control matchup. I think Hero is still better, but it's nice to have if you want the 2 cost option instead of the 4 cost. Some yellow hybrid list would run TK, not a lot of them, but overall, most of these tamers are not really good. The bigger ones are probably Izzy and Davis, and I think the Davis finally having a box topper variant is really good. Alright, so that is enough for Jesmon. Now let's talk about Ragnalord. Alright, and here we have the starter deck Ragnalordmon, which I went ahead and pre-opened. It's kind of stuck in there. There we go. So it's the same thing as the Jesmon deck, where it is this kind of cardboard billfold, and we open it up, and it's the same thing. We got a starter deck and the same 6 tamers. I almost expected Bandai to make these a 1 in 6 promotion, but no, you get the same 6 tamers for buying each starter deck. So if you're not gonna play one or other, if you're not going to play either of these starter decks, there's still a decent reason to pick these up. Alright, so going in, we have our Sakutomon. When you play another Digimon with Legend Arms in its traits, gain a memory. Very good in this deck. Next we have Zubamon. So the Ragnalord deck is definitely not as user-friendly as the Jesmon deck. This one is a lot of strategizing and playing around your cards. We have Zubamon, then we have Zuba Eagermon, and then Duramon, and then we go into the new Durandamon. Your turn once per turn, when one of your effects plays is a Digivolution card under this Digimon. This Digimon gains 3000 DP and security attack +1 for the turn. And then when Digivolving, you may play one Digimon with Legend Arms in its traits for a play cost of 7 or less among them without paying its memory cost. And then it's terrible, this Digimon has Ragnalordmon. It does not activate security effects of option cards. I'm holding it a little too high. So I don't know if you can see it, but the texturing on this is actually much better than the texturing on the Jesmon cards. I think I like the texturing on these more, but not as good. All right, but you know, I still like this more. And then the big one, we have Ragnalordmon. So there is actually a lot of good reasons to buy the Ragnalord deck for this. So it's its DNA evolution. Its DNA Digivolution requirements are a level 6 red and a level 6 black, which makes sense. And then when Digivolving Blitz, and then when DNA Digivolving, for every 4 cards in this Digimon's Digivolution source, delete one of your opponent's Digimon in play with a play cost of 20 or less and trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So that means if you delete 2 Digimon with this effect, you can trash 2 security, and it has Blitz, so this will be really good for go to game. And all per turn, when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, unsuspend this Digimon. So not as much Legend Arms, but a lot of decks that like to run this are the Lynx Dragon cards coming out here in about a month or so. And also, this is seeing a lot of play in Machine Dramon specifically. Namely, you can play Machine Dramon, get its effects, and then Digivolve to Chaos Dramon, get its effects, and then you'll use Kaiser Nail to cheat out the Machine Dramon. You can do your swing or two, and then go into this guy for game. So he is really strong in a lot of decks, except Legend Arms, but he's not a bad card. So getting into our black stuff, we have a generic Kotemon line. Another really important card, and it's nice that it's a 4 of, is Chikurimon. This is just the black version of Solarmon that stops play cost reducing, so he's a good counter in black decks to the cross stuff that's coming out next week. So again, another reason to pick up this deck is just for these guys. And a card I've actually really been excited for, I'm sorry, it looks like I need to maneuver around, is the 4 Ludomon. He has a very similar ability, although his inheritable is opponent's turn while Digimon has a red or has Legend Arms in its traits. This Digimon gains blocker, and I really like it because one of my favorite decks to play is actually Black War Greymon, and this has really good synergy for giving your Black War Greymon blocker, even just besides the Black Greymon that came out in BT8. So I really like this card a lot. I might actually be putting it in that deck. Gladiamon generic, we got Tia Ludamon, Nightmon, Raijin Ludomon. It looks like 4 Bryway Ludramon are another 7 cost removal option. And this is the, I'll talk about it. So this is the Legend Arms equivalent of the from Teaching's 2 cost option from the Jesmon. Although it really upsets me is that this actually is a 4 of in this starter deck. So it's like they knew that that was better and they just wanted to make sure you would buy 2 of the Jesmon starter decks. Oh, okay. Actually, we have a another memory tracking set of cards, although this one actually has the red level 6 and the black level 6 that you used to make Ragnalord. Ragnalord is not actually on these cards. You actually you need to get the premium deck selection for one with the Ragnalord one on it. But this is a nice, again, you know, newer players may not have a memory tracking mat, so this is good for them too. All right, just gonna clean up this mess. So when all is said and done, the question remains, are these starter decks worth picking up? Yes, absolutely. Aside from just the promo tamers giving us reprints of some really good cards like Davis, Jesmon may only be good in Jesmon related decks, but Ragnalord especially is going to be good in a multitude of decks that can run red and black. And there's also a couple of really good small utility cards like the Solarmon that we talked about. If I had to pick which of these is better, I have to say that the Jesmon deck is better because it is really good at piling itself, and unfortunately, a lot of the older Ragnalordmon pieces fall victim to the release special booster curse, where they're really expensive to get some of the older stuff and a pain in the butt. So if you're gonna pick up only one of these, I recommend the Jesmon one, but obviously pick whatever you like best. My name is Maine, and I will see you guys next week when we talk about BT10.